Welcome, everybody, to the Patrick Carr Show. You know, it's been a while since we've been able to bring you one of these episodes, but we're going to do everything that we possibly can to bring value to your life and your business in the next 10 minutes. Today's topic is one that I have struggled with and one that I know many of you out there have struggled with. How do you begin to like yourself again? You know, so many times what we do is we begin to look in the mirror, right? And over a period of weeks or months, you begin to say, you know, I don't like this person. Maybe you don't like who you are personally. You don't like who you are in a relationship. You don't like the body that's staring back at you. And what I want to do for you here today is over the next 10 minutes, I want to give you some tools. I want to give you some tricks, some things that are going to allow you to change that perspective, change that perception of who you are personally, and begin liking you. I want to do this in a little bit of a different way, okay, everyone? I want to tell you some of the things, the hurdles that you're going to have to overcome, and some of the ways that I believe that you can do that to make that immediate shift. The first thing I want to tell you is this that I've got written down here for you, is you have to stop believing that you're unlucky. You know, Brad Lee, who owns Lightspeed VT out in Las Vegas, he tells a story about hiring people in his business. And the one thing that he will ask every single person who comes into his business is simple. Do you believe that you're a lucky individual? If the person says no, he won't hire him. I want you to think about why that might be. What kind of people would you want on your team? The person who believes that they are lucky or the person that believes that they're not? I'm going to tell you the difference in the two. If you're going through a portion of your life and you're beginning to feel like, man, I'm an unlucky son of a gun. Bad things tend to always happen to me. I want you to think about that person in the casino who is the difference between luck and unlucky. An unlucky individual is going to look at the roulette table and see that they've lost 4 times in a row and they've bet red and it's hit black. What does the lucky individual say? They say, man, this next time around, I'm going to hit it. And they do. And so what happens is the unlucky person oftentimes will give up too easily. And I want you to think about that in your own life right now. Have you begun to give up on something, a dream, something that you wanted, a relationship, your marriage, because you feel like it's just not for you? Like you're not that person. Like these kinds of good things don't happen to somebody who's unlucky in their life. If you have to shift your perspective. It is so easy in life to look at things and go, I'm unlucky. But what a great and powerful statement it would be to say I'm one step closer to having luck in my life. I'm going to give you another example that goes along with this. You're letting one bad outcome determine how you feel about future outcomes. So the unlucky person, that person who doesn't feel good about themselves, they'll make 5 calls, 5 sales calls, and they'll hear no in those 5 calls. What are they going to think the 6th one's going to be? A no. The lucky person looks at it and says, I'm now one step closer to hearing the yes. There's a huge difference in the perspective. Both people have had the exact same thing happen to them, but one is in a much different mindset going into that 6th call. I had a good friend of mine, owns Leap, a platform. He said there's no such thing as problems, only happenings. If you're out there and you're trying to sell a product, or you're out there and you're trying to do something great in your business, don't you think you're going to have pushback? Don't you think you're going to have people who tell you no? Don't you think there's going to be things that go wrong every single day? And if that's the case, is that truly a problem? Is that truly being unlucky? Or is it just a happening that is bound to happen to you? Anytime you're trying to do something in your life that is worth a darn, there will be something that tries to pull you back and say, no, it is impossible to do. The lucky person is the individual who says, you know what? I'm going to push through that. I'm not going to give up. You could, in fact, say that oftentimes in life, the person that's most successful is not the most talented, smartest. It's not the person with the most wit. It's the person who has the most grit to continue to move forward. And oftentimes that person is because they believe they have a higher purpose. They believe they have luck on their side. I want to give you another thing that right now, if you're looking at yourself, you're not liking that person. You've begun to believe the narrative that other people have told you. See, when we're all born into this world, we all have a positive outlook on who we are. In fact, you could say it's even an unrealistic great output or great outlook. We all believe that we could be Spider-Man or Superman, don't we? And said somebody along the way told us that you can't do that. Somebody along the way said you can't be that good. And so every negative thought that you have, every negative part of your story in your head about you was put there by somebody else. And so if you can recognize that someone else is dictating how you feel about yourself, It means that you're valuing their opinion over what you believe. And I would challenge you to do this. You've made mistakes in your life. You've probably done things that you regret. Did you do them because you were a malicious person? Or did you do them because maybe you were immature? Maybe you didn't know the right decision to make. Maybe you fell to pressure in other people in your life. These are all things that you have to wrestle with yourself. And I have a quote, Anthony Bourdain, inside my office. It says, you made a mistake, admit it. Say you did something wrong and never do it again, ever. I think wherever you're at in your life, and a guy named Coach Burt says it, you go to bed hungry, you go to bed hungry and you wake up at zero, all right? So in other words, every single day is a new day to start anew. If you're continuing to look in the rearview mirror right now, you need to ask yourself why. What is that serving you? Why are you listening to the narrative that other people have painted about you? It's time to move on. It's time to say today is a new day that's going to move forward for you. And the last trick I want to give you is this. If you're having problems looking at yourself, you're having problems believing in who you are, a large part of it is because you're not keeping the promises that you make to yourself. And oftentimes you're letting momentary happiness interfere with permanent joy. And so many times we want to go do things in the moment that feel good, but the professional, the individual who wants something more out of life, the individual who is meant to do more, and the individual who's lucky and sees something beyond what they can be today is somebody who sets aside those momentary pleasures and says, hey, listen, I'm going to make the sacrifice for what is going to be great in the long run. And so if that momentary pleasure for you is alcohol, if that momentary pleasure for you is sleep or Netflix, if it's doing something that is illegal, I don't know what it might be. But oftentimes it is going to be those things that prevent you from keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Those promises can be the time that you devote toward your job, the time that you devote towards your kids. And if you do that, then what happens is it takes away from yourself. It takes away from the belief that you have in you. And that's a terrible feeling, because when you don't keep the promises to yourself, you don't like you. I want you to imagine that if you had a friend right now, and that friend made promises to you every single week, and then when time came, they didn't follow through. Would you want to hang out with that individual? Would that be somebody that you loved as a person? No, I seriously doubt it. You wouldn't want to be around them. And then you wonder why you have trouble being around yourself. If you want to begin to gain confidence in who you are, begin to keep the promises that you keep to yourself, and only make promises that you can keep. One of the big problems I see with many individuals beginning in entrepreneurship is that they make big promises, grand things, and they don't even make them to themselves. They make them to loved ones or employees, or they make them to clients. And then they feel disappointed when they can't follow through. I don't think many people do this to be malicious. I think it's because they oftentimes just want to be somebody that's liked. But in the course of wanting that momentary pleasure of being liked in the moment, what they do is they can't fulfill the promises in the future. So I want you to really believe in that. I want you to take a moment. I want you to think, why am I looking in the mirror and I don't like this person? And if it was because it's something physical, hey, keep the promise to yourself to change it. If it's something in your relationship, then hey, listen, keep the promise to change that. Begin to feel that you have some more purpose in this world than just the momentary pleasures that are in front of you. And at the same time, understand that there is no unlucky person. There is people who have purpose and an unwilling desire to not give up. That's the difference. There's no person who's going to just roll 17 black all the time because they're lucky. They just stick in the game long enough for 17 black to hit soon enough. So which kind of person are you going to be today? Are you going to be the person that gives up after 5 sales calls and doesn't make the 6th? Or are you going to be the person that sticks in there, makes the call, and says, hey, listen, whatever happened in the past doesn't determine the future outcomes that are in front of me, because I am going to be the one who architects my own future right here. The choice is completely you, and that will determine how you feel about you personally. So please, I implore you here today, go out there, feel good about the person that you have staring back into the mirror, because it's the only one that you have, all right? But more importantly, or just as importantly, I should say, for us over here, we put some work into this. There's people behind the cameras, and they put in work to it too. If you like what we do here, please hit the subscribe button, like it. Let us know in the comments below if you find some value in what we're trying to bring to you here today. And we hope that it does bring value to your life and in some way makes you as a person or your business a little bit better. Go out there and make it a great day. Thanks so much for joining the Patrick Carr Show, everybody. Till next time.